from my mind in terms of the New South Wales, the zoning and sort of the narrow blocks. And I know you and I spoke, you've got a bit of a check list and you've got a whole lot of sort of comments. So I'd be quite curious to know what are the changes, what are the fundamental things that I'm sort of looking forward to, and what are the planning opportunities?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the first thing, if you've got a sheet in front of you, we've done about a 3.5-page real synopsis of about a 67-page change of the low to medium density planning scheme that came out about 2 weeks ago. So if you do want a copy of it, happy to email it through and you can have a good look through it, because this basically goes through 67 pages condensed down to 3, and you can go and take it as you wish and apply it over any different measures there. But long and short of it, anyone who owns a house in New South Wales, does that house 12 metres frontage? Hands up. Keep your hand up if it's more than 12 metres frontage. Keep your hands up if it's more than 400 square metres. Essentially, you can build a dual occupancy as long as your local council now overrides or complies with the new local environmental planning scheme for a dual complying development. So essentially 20-day approval. Keep your hand up if you've got 15 metre frontage and you've got 600 square metres. So potentially now, as long as your local environmental plan from your local council is in conjunction with the New South Wales planning scheme, you can potentially build 4 flats on your house as a complying development. So essentially, you can put 4 2-bedroom flats, 80 square metres a flat, 600 square metres, minimum 15 metre frontage on that. If you've got that same house which has got 80 metre frontage and you've got still 600 square metres, you can build terrace housing, minimum 6 metre width. So you can all of a sudden now put on that same house, 80 metre frontage, 600 square metres, rectangular, you can build 1, 2, 3, minimum per dwelling, or minimum around about 200 square metres per property, as long as it complies with your local council as well. Complying development. And this is, I think, to what Scott was talking about. When we're coming up to an election in about a year's time, we're talking about negative gear and we're talking about the issue with housing affordability. This is the answer that I think really they're not telling us is one of the answers, especially in Sydney and New South Wales, is it's going to create supply. Now, it's going to create opportunity. Absolutely, undisputedly, there is opportunity for people to make money, but it is going to allow so much more supply. And that supply is going to literally create a softening in the market. We can refute it as much as we want, but we're going to create more property. We're still having population growth, but there's just going to be more property there. Now, how we incentivise developers to want to build these is the key, but I think anyone who owns a property now, any homeowners who own a property now, they're the ones in the box seat. It's not the people who are going to buy next. It's that if you've got exposure to the city market now, you're the ones that have really got a good uptick in what's going to be available to you, as long as you fit into some of these controls. Because if you're close to amenity and you can fit into any one of those 3 things, and you're happy to live in a duplex, you're happy to live in a terrace, or you're potentially happy to live in a flat, and you have enough equity and or cash flow, there's a huge opportunity coming everyone's way within the Sydney market, within the Central Coast market, within the Wollongong market, within the Newcastle market, within any market that complies with these controls, essentially low to medium density R2 zoning. You've got a huge opportunity all of a sudden to really find that. The only real caveat, and the biggest caveat I see to it right now, is development in Sydney in general is as expensive by a country mile than it's ever been, and it is ridiculously expensive to get something built comparatively to what it should be. And it's not necessarily the materials, it's the labour. And that's where we have a big issue right now, is that even though these are changing, we've run our lens as an office over the last week and a half. We've tried to find opportunity in a ton of markets. We're trying to find it right now. We still can't really find it as far as there's a spot. It still doesn't stack up to say average house price, let's call it flat 600 square metre block, it's going to be 800,000. We put a duplex, we all of a sudden see we've got our 15% margin. We put a terrace, we've got our 15% margin. We put a flat, we've got a 20% margin. It's still very, very difficult to find any market in New South Wales that this actually provides value, and mainly for the fact that building is so expensive. Crane Index came out, the second most amount of cranes in the sky behind Dubai in Sydney as opposed to anywhere else in the world. It shows us that we've got a lot of construction jobs. So people, to prime off these high-paying construction jobs, they want a lot of money. And I'm quoting up 4 duplexes personally right now. It's astronomical. And this is where it comes down to right now, where I think, to your point, Jackie, buying right and buying absolutely understanding your margins.